at what point did they break the news to you that, or at what point did you learn that you're not a biological child in that family?
Actually, I learned when I was about to celebrate my 20th birthday.
Okay.
Which was really sad. I mean, that was the worst gift, but I've come to love God more, I've come to realize this is the best gift. I was just about to celebrate my 20th birthday, and I had found a young man who said, I love you. He was the first person to tell me he loves me.
Oh.
And so I felt, because I didn't exactly understand what love is, I had experienced a lot that I didn't know what to be loved means. So I told him, if you seriously love me, I want to take you to my mom. Please go and tell me in front of her that you love me. Many other occasions I rushed to the hospital. I'm holding the baby. They are put on oxygen. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm praying for them. Unfortunately, these children die in my hands. And these are the lowest moments. If I can say the very lowest moments of my life is when I've lost a child.
Are you married? Or you're dating? Do you even have plans of ever getting married? Or you are single by choice? Join me, Helen Kibali, as we dive deep into matters relationships, marriage, and parenting, and how these bonds affect our relationship with God. Let us learn together on ways we can improve.
I am your host, Helen Kibali, and today I am privileged, super excited, elated to have a very, very beautiful woman of God. She is a pastor, she is a mother, a director, and also a father to many, to over 100 kids. Yes, over 100, a mother and a father. So I'm super excited. I'll let her introduce herself to you guys. Karibu on the show.
Asante sana.
Yes, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hi viewers, my name is Rachel Wanjiru. Currently I'm a pastor in the End Time El Shaddai Ministries Church, serving under Senior Pastor Charles Njuguna. And I'm also running this home as the director of the home, which is Makime Children's Home, located in Kikuyu, Gitaru, a place known as Gitaru Mlango Soko, just behind the Gitaru Market.
Yes. Oh, and the place is beautiful, by the way. She has very beautiful kids. I've seen all of them, and I must say, you have a big heart, Rachel. I am touched today. I think today was one of those days that God spoke to me through you.
Wow.
Yes, I am. You must have a very big heart to do what you're doing, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I acknowledge the efforts that you've put in this home.
Thank you.
I understand that you are the firstborn in this home. How did you get here?
Yes, you're correct, Helen. I'm the firstborn of this home.
Yeah.
This I learned when I was just about to celebrate my 20th birthday. I grew up with Mama Margaret, who is the founder of the home. She's the lady who started the home. But when she took me in, it wasn't a children's home. It wasn't to be a children's home. It was just a gesture of goodwill, how she helped me. I was a victim of a road accident that took away my parents. That's how I came in the home after a process of healing in Kenyatta Hospital. And just to take you back a little bit, I wasn't the way I am. My legs were fractured. I've been a crippled girl. I've mutated bit by bit. Just before I came to be who I am today, I was from a wheelchair to crutches to walking stick to how I walk today by God's grace. And my life here, it wasn't a children's home because Makime was registered as a children's home in the year 2006. After the government realized Mama was taking in so many children. And as the children were coming, you see, you can't keep children in your home for long. That's when it was registered. So me, as I was growing up, it wasn't a children's home. But I am the foundation of the children's home because I was the first girl who got in here through the unfortunate incident that left me who I am today.
How old were you?
Mama tells me I was slightly about 1.5 years.
1.5.
Nobody knows exactly my age actually, but they guess between 1.5, 2 years at most.
And you said through the accident that you lost your parents, you fractured your legs.
Legs, actually limbs. Let me call them limbs because it was down. But yeah.
So how long were you in that state?
I stayed because I can recall my journey. At one point, I stayed in Kenyatta National Hospital for so long, for about 13 months, because there was surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery. I remember one time when they would insert metal plates in my body, and then my body refuses to agree with the metal plates. They have to remove, and it became my home. But through thick and thin, I fought through.
God is faithful.
There's a God in heaven.
Your testimony is so inspiring, Rachel. Take us a little bit back on now that your mother, Mama Margaret, has taken you in and she's taking care of you. How was your childhood like?
My childhood was a bit difficult automatically because during my growing up days, when you had, let me call it what they were calling it then, when you had a disability, you were more of a liability than an asset in any home. Because the only thing that I would do, I would drain finances from the home. I didn't have friends, I didn't have social life. And especially being a girl and you are crippled, nobody got so much interest in you. But in the home, I experienced much love from Mama. And there was a lady known as Beatrice. She was I refer to her as my twin sister. She went to be with the Lord in the year 2012 through a road accident. And through an electricity accident when she was in Germany pursuing her master's. But this girl has been my buddy all through. Whether I'm in a wheelchair, she would even sleep with me. So there was love given. And it made me believe I belonged in the home. So even when my story was given, I was like, do I believe, do I not believe? Because they gave me so much love that only parents can give.
How did you get to, because you told us they took you in when you were about a year or so.
Yeah.
At what point did they break the news to you that, or at what point did you learn that you're not a biological child in that?
Actually, I learned when I was about to celebrate my 20th birthday.
Okay.
Which was really sad. I mean, that was the worst gift, but I've come to love God more, I've come to realize this is the best gift. Because I realized that people gave me love that I didn't deserve. I was just about to celebrate my 20th birthday, and I had found a young man who said, I love you. He was the first person to tell me he loves me.
Oh.
And so I felt, because I didn't exactly understand what love is, I had experienced a lot that I didn't know what to be loved means. So I told him, if you seriously love me, I want to take you to my mom. Please go and tell me in front of her that you love me. So we came home, and he was so courageous. He tells me in front of my mom, Rachel, I love you. And then my mom was like, eh? And I told him, Mom, I've got a friend who wants to tell you something. Then I looked at him, please tell my mom. But instead of Mama Margaret celebrating, she started crying, which really broke my heart. Like, you don't want anybody to love me. And then this friend of mine left, and that is when Mama broke the news to me, which really broke my heart. Really broke my heart. And there's one person I trusted who is my late grandmother, the lady I'm named after. I had to send a message to her because I wanted to know the truth from her. But when she came, the first word she said was, did you tell, she called me Wanjiru, did you tell Wanjiru? And so that one confirmed in me that whatever these people were telling me was the truth. Yes. Actually, it was sad, and this one has really inspired my life, even in the children I'm bringing up. At a certain age, we have to let them know their identity. That doesn't mean they don't love you, but it's very important to let someone know their identity. Because when somebody breaks it when it is too late, or somebody else breaks it, trust is broken. And again, there's a lot of pain when you know your story, when you're already, you see, I had acquired an identity, and when Mama was starting to rescue other children, I was telling them they're intruding our privacy. I also was not a very good girl, because when they started coming to our bedrooms, I would tell them, no, Mama, you cannot intrude our privacy. You can't bring these strangers in our bed. But if I had known earlier on, I would maybe a little bit kind to the others, knowing that somebody else gives her space for me.
Okay, all right. Now, you've told us that you were told the news before your 20th birthday, and of course you were taking someone to your mom, a person that told you they love you. Are you married?
Currently, I am not married. But it's important to say I got married, at not the same person, but after some years I got married, and I got married to a pastor. But along the way, things didn't work between me and him, and we separated 13 years ago.
Okay.
And because of my love for God, actually as I was growing up, I was saying, if I'll ever get married, the person who dates me first, I get married to him. And this is what happened, and I got married, and I thought everything was okay until he couldn't bear again. There was pressure because I was going through my education, and then there were conditions because you are from here, because you are doing this, and there was a lot of pressure from his family, and we ended up separating. And we separated. Unfortunately, we separated when I was 6 months pregnant. And I didn't know. God had created me in a way, I even don't know whether I'm expectant or not. It was 6 months. The doctor said it is about 6 months. The only changes I was having, I was getting a better shape. I was becoming round shape. And when I came home, that's when I realized I was 6 months expectant. And it was a hard journey. And I didn't know that God was with me. These are the times friends tell you, you can't keep a baby of a person who has abandoned you. But I fought through, and I gave birth on the 14th of October 2009 to my son.
Wow.
God gave me a bouncing baby boy that I named Benny.
All right. Okay.
So currently, like I've just said, I'm separated and I am fine. Yes.
You're comfortable.
I'm comfortable. I'm waiting upon God. You see, God is not finished with me yet.
Yes, of course.
God is not finished with
and
me
you're
yet.
still very young.
And I also tell people, if one thing fails, don't die there.
True.
There's another thing. There's life and raha jipe mwenyewe.
Of course.
It's important, Helen, to tell our viewers that there's a saying among the Kikuyus that if a cooking steak breaks,
Yes.
that's not the end of
The
you
end.
cooking ugali.
Yes.
Ugali bado iko.
Yes.
And marriage is good. As a pastor, I believe marriage is ordained by God.
Yes.
And marriage is good. And meaning that one marriage doesn't work. Doesn't mean you die there.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you hate God. Doesn't mean you hate the other gender. It means that there's yet another chance because we are serving a God of another chance.
True.
Yes.
And it's important that you've said that because we've seen people staying in abusive marriages and marriages that you live but you're bitter, you're not yourself, you are oppressed, there's a lot of anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And we are saying you don't have to die in that marriage.
True. You don't have to die there.
And you don't have to wait until someone picks a knife or hurts you or your children for you to walk out. You can walk out amicably and go live your life. Yes, live your life. Oh my God. Guys, this woman has a big heart. Mimi, I don't know if I would be able, but God anaweza kunipea grace. God has really graced you. There are a lot of kids here. Some are disabled, some are good, and we would want to know, how do you get these kids?
Helen, if you allow me, just before I tell you how we receive these kids, through the minute I've served in this home for 10 years. A little bit of my life, just a bit, I went to university. And when I was in my second year, I made a vow to God because life had started showing me the bitter part. But still, because I loved God I got saved when I was a class 8 girl, and I've trusted God the rest of my life. And I said, if I get a first class honors, I'll come and serve here. And this is what God did. And as I come, I've realized, just as we were talking about marriage, if it doesn't work like you have said, some children are in this home as a result of bad marriages.
True.
And then people, instead of giving the sanctity it deserves, because they're in a bad marriage, they decide the product of marriage to maybe kulipisha kizazi to the children. So, like you just said, let people know that if Helen, we can't match, we have children, they are gifts from God. And we need to take care of them. Personally, I've taken care of my children. I'm a mother of 2. I've taken care of my children, despite whatever happened. Now, the children we have here, when the home was registered, we were taking in a number of children who are abused, some in the families. Because abuse starts when parents cannot co-work together. And then we are taking care of children who are neglected. And then we had the orphaned, automatically the ones whose parents die and they found themselves here. But along the line, 9 years ago, we realized a very special category of children, like the ones you have just seen. These children are the ones we are referring to as the abandoned. The abandoned children, they are born, but they are abandoned between the age of 4 hours to 3 days. The ones we receive, all of them, they are abandoned between 4 hours to the age of 3 days. This happens because people decided they can be together, but they don't want to take care of what they have brought up. The most of the children you have seen here, like the youngest you saw, that baby was abandoned next to a river where safari ants infested him. They fed on his lips, his nose, his eyes, but by God's grace, he was saved by some farmers. And it's a journey of life. So all the children you see here, I am believing if in our society we can create an awareness on marriage, parenting, and the sanctity of life. Because again, even if you don't want this child, don't abandon for them to die. There are so many avenues. You can give them up for adoption because so many parents are looking for children. I receive thousands of mothers coming here to ask whether they can carry the babies with them. But again, they have to follow the legal procedure.
Before I get into adoption and how you're able to take care of them, because I want to believe this is a calling. You did not just wake up like this and decide, now let me just take care of these children. And as I said, you must have a big heart. How did you now get into put it in yourself that now this is what I want to do? How did you get there?
Okay, it happened that along the way, I had special love for children. Even before I got married, I loved children. There was, even in church, when I was a youth, I was a Sunday school teacher. But I had never dreamt that one time I'll do what you have seen me do. But it was just a call from God as I was taking care of this, as I was taking care of my child. This is when I realized that children are a blessing. Actually, we should see children as blessings, not as burdens. Because my son didn't become a burden to me. He became a blessing to me. And the way I loved him, I found some orphans, and I would just give them a shoulder to lean on. I would embrace them. Because I realized what lacks in most children is love. And proper parenting calls for love. And love is not pampering Helen. Love is that genuineness of heart. And wanting to meet this child, there's a meeting point. The child has a need, you also have a need. You come to a central place where you give love. And love is paramount. When you give, like I've been giving love here, once you give love, you find they can be able to open up to you, especially the ones we rescued when they were older. They open up to you and you're able to understand. Why parenting is failing is because there's a need you are not able to meet. All the parents are very busy. You want to cover up your responsibility. You want to cover up with gifts and some other things. So I just found myself, I was bringing up the orphans and the neglected, but there was one category that really hurt me. I think is where the call came from, the abused. We were rescuing girls and boys. Some were victims of sodomy. But there was a category of girls that were victims of incest, sexual abuse from their uncles and their fathers. And because the hearts were bleeding, I became so close to them. And in campus, I tackled child psychology, dance and counseling. And I was able to bring them closer to accepting themselves again and to regaining their self-esteem. And as days went by in the year, just 9 years ago, that's when I realized this other category. I also never thought I would ever bring up a young child like the young as you have seen. But one thing leads to another. My love for the children, and especially for the ones who are going through tough times, brought me to where I am today.
You have a big heart.
It's by God's grace.
Let me just say that. You said that some are children that wametupwa, wengine are neglected at home, wengine wako abused. Do you have any therapy or any counseling that you take the children through, especially the older ones that I've seen, having gone through all that in their homes and the neglect and the abuse? Do you have any counseling sessions that to help them overcome that and grow into positive adults?
Yes, that one has to be in place. Like the ones who have gone through sexual abuse, either sodomy, incest, or whichever case. Some of them were very bad. We had to take them to Nairobi Women Hospital, and we had to engage psychology counselors. They would come and talk to them, help them to overcome. Because we had a specific case, and this girl was abused by a gang of motorbike guys. And anytime this girl would see a motorbike or hear that sound of a motorbike, she would collapse. So some of these cases are very serious. You have to engage counselors, and they have walked the journey with them. But now these things have changed, because since 9 years ago we changed our mission. We only now rescue the abandoned, those ones abandoned at birth. And these ones are easy to deal with because they grow knowing you as mama. We ran the home with my mom, the lady you saw, Mama Margaret, and they love calling us mom. And now we have taken up another role of parenting, of bringing up all these young children. With them now, as they grow, you just need to understand at the stage of life where it is okay to tell them their story. With this, they don't need a lot of counseling, because you grow up with them, but at one point you let them know you never gave birth biologically to them, but you have got a big heart for them. They can stay with you. They can call you whatever they want to call you, because they choose. There are some you will find they are so much inclined to me, they call me mama, but some call Mama Margaret mama, depending now with how they see us. Some of them call me sister, they call mama, but the very tiny ones, you hear them calling me mama. With those ones, as you bring them up, what we've decided, these are home. I just believe I'm just another woman who would be married, and by God's grace, this woman gets more than 50 children. And when you get them, you give them the love, the support, and the care that they need.
Do you get kids that are brought here, or do you bring in kids that have chronic illnesses, and how do you handle that?
Yes, we do. What happens? The issues surrounding abandonment, there are many of them. They run from economic crisis, especially during the COVID period. Others, they run from early pregnancies. They're the ones we used to call the unwanted pregnancies. Others are women who are married. They get pregnant out of wedlock or out of their marriage. And when they realize that, like some of them, I came to understand, if you get pregnant when your partner is away, you don't want to bring that child home. Or you're still married and you get an affair. Like we have a child, we believe the mother got an affair with an Asian. And she knew this child might be born when he or she is not the color of my husband, and marriage will end. So this child was born in a hospital just few weeks before the term, and then he was abandoned in a garbage pit. So why am I bringing in this? These children, some parents are even HIV positive. Some of them have got some generational things. When these children come, we've received a baby who had a heart condition. She had a hole in the heart. And we realized when she was about 5-6 months, and you have to take them to hospital. We raised funds, we called our friends, we put her on Facebook, and by God's grace, a friend read the post in Facebook, connected us to Matt Hartran, and also connected us to Safaricom. And they helped us do this. And the girl went through the surgery, now she's well. Another category we receive, kids that are abandoned at birth. They come when some of them are HIV positive. And you see, it is not a criminal offense. This child is innocent. What we do, we test them when they come. After testing, we are working with the Lea Toto program, especially the one in Kangemi. Once we realize a child is HIV positive, we just put them on ARVs. Once you put them on ARVs, it's only for 18 months. And by God's grace, majority of them have turned negative. You just follow what the doctors are telling you. For this period of time, strictly feed on infant formula. And once you follow the directions, you give them medications as directed. I've got like 7 who have turned now they are HIV negative. Again, it's important to say, even if a child doesn't turn negative, he or she has a right to live. So just live with them, knowing this is their condition, and then when they grow, there's an age whereby you get and you let them know. Let them know, because they have questions. They will always ask you, why am I always on medication? Why is so and so not taking medication I'm taking? Now here, like we said, parenting is challenging. You have to sit them down. Let them know they are unique, but despite you being unique, you have a condition that you will survive on medication. So we grow up with them and we love them. Unfortunately, there are some we have lost along the way. Like we had a boy who was HIV positive and developed a brain tumor. We did all we could. But at one point, we went even to Aga Khan and all these hospitals. But at one point, the doctors told us that this boy has got 31 days to live. You can imagine how traumatizing it was for all of us. And true to their word, our brother passed on the 31st day. It's challenging, but God's grace has been sufficient.
Do you get kids that maybe are sick, or you rescued them and then they die in your care?
It happens, Helen. And even before I tell you what happens, this is one of the hardest moments of my life. Because any child we rescue, anytime we are caught by the police, by the administration, even by good Samaritans, anytime a child is brought to us, our hearts are out to bring up this child to become what God wanted them to become. Because we have a policy here, we believe that we are born for a reason. No matter where you are born, no matter how you are born, you are here for a purpose. So anytime we receive a child, our aim and our hope is to bring them up until they grow, they become what God wanted them to become. But abandonment is bad. Parents abandon babies in polythene bags. Thank God they have been banned. They also abandon them without clothes, in toilets, in plantations, in drainage pipes, name the worst places. And we have got so many of them who have been rained on the whole night. The first thing, most of the things that happen when these children come, they suffer from pneumonia. And I can't even count the number of times I've been admitted in the hospital with them. Unfortunately, some don't make it, some succumb. Many other occasions I rush to the hospital, I'm holding the baby, they are put on oxygen, I'm crossing my fingers, I'm praying for them. Unfortunately, these children die in my hands. And these are the lowest moments. If I can say the very lowest moments of my life is when I've lost a child. We've lost 9. And it hits at me, it hits back at the home, because anytime a child comes in here, we believe it's a family. And actually you hear all of them say, baby brother or baby sister. And then when they die, remember we've gone to the hospital. There are hospital bills to be taken care of. Leave alone the hospital bills. It's painful. I've gone to the hospital holding a baby in my arms. And then I'm coming home holding the baby shows. It breaks my heart. It has happened so many times. And once it happens, you see, she is my child or she's a child of this home. We have to do the funeral program and everything. We do just like the other viewers and the families do. Once a baby passes on, we conduct the services, we conduct the funeral, we get where the child will be buried and we do everything. But these are the lowest moments, the very, very lowest moment of our lives. And I remember in 2019, it was a very bad year for us. We lost 4 babies. We rescued at birth. One was 10 months, 8 months, 4 months, and one was 3 days. And that was the lowest point of my life until I remember our spiritual leaders. We had our bishop, the late Bishop Deborah. She passed on last year. And it was painful to all of us. And we asked God, through her and our senior pastor Charles, we prayed that God, let death stop in this home. Because let me tell you, death is draining. You can't put your effort somewhere and then these children die. So we prayed, and there's a God who answers prayers. Since 2019, God answered our prayers. Even the child you saw, even the photos you were seeing and you were like, he's not alive, God is able to bring them back, because I believe we made a prayer. And we have not lost any child, and we have got more strength. Personally, I've got an inner drive that even more are abandoned, I'm ready to bring them up.
How how do you manage all these things? How do you maneuver?
Let me start by saying, whenever there's a will, there's a way. It hasn't been easy. It has been challenging, especially in the areas of medical care and education. It has been challenging, but despite the challenges, we've got success stories here because we've been fighting through thick and thin. We have had, I thank God for Kenyans out there. People have come to the realization that every life matters, no matter what. As I was growing up, we didn't have many people visiting the orphanages. They would only do so during Easter and December holidays. But nowadays, we're having men and women coming. We're having well-wishers. We're having people coming. We're having friends coming and people coming to support this cause. So we get donations from well-wishers, from churches, from communities, and from friends. And then it has happened that I met a lady who became a friend of this home. And when she came to this home, she was from the outside country. She said, I'll be supporting some primary school children. That's one support we are getting. We also have another lady friend from Sweden who supports the high schoolers with her friends. Supports high schoolers and from time to time supports us with food.
Okay.
Yeah. But medical care, we've tried NHIF, we've tried insurances, and there's a major request, if Helen, with your permission, you allow me to ask. There's a request we make to the government and to people who can help. These children, when they get sick, they don't have the NHIF cover like the rest. But if somebody can hold our hand, because I've tried on my own, it has not been possible. If somebody can hold our hand, help us get NHIF cover for these children, the burden will become easier to bear.
So any government official out there, if you hear our cry and our plea, kindly help us, help the people running the children's home to get NHIF covers, and of course make it very affordable and friendly. We'll appreciate that. God bless you. We've had stories of children who are rescued, but that is very unique. A child rescued by a dog.
We said the dogs brought this baby. We have never seen this. And the police officer in charge says, if the dogs brought the baby to you, who are we to take the baby away from you? Go keep the baby.
My hands up by silent, I gonna sing a song and then I do like this. I am a fearfully, wonderfully made.
These girls who get pregnancy through rape, through incest, instead of killing or abandoning these children, let's get a process whereby you can deliver and give up your baby responsibly. Give up your baby bearing in mind that life belongs to God and life is sacred.